Welcome, guys, to episode 3 of the Overtime Show. This week, myself and Joe chatted to the general manager and one of the coaches of the London Warriors, Simon Buckett, as well as linebacker safety Crow and running back Dwayne Watson.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Overtime Show podcast. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Simon Buckett over the last few days, and he's managed to get me a few London Warriors players. So today with us, we've got Dwayne Watson, who's the running back for the London Warriors. You've been playing with them for quite a long time, haven't you, Dwayne?
Since 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Damn.
Yeah, wow.
A long time. And Simon Buckett, so do you do like the kind of media side? Because I've seen you've done some journal like articles for the team as well.
No, that's all Rose that does our media, and she'll kill me if I claimed any of that.
Oh,
She's
okay,
much better
okay.
than me. No, I have 2 roles with the Warriors. I'm the general manager, and I am a coach of the senior team, and tend to generally help out with special teams these days, but bounce around a few positions.
Oh, perfect.
You're the guy who picks the team then? Where would Joe get in this team here? He's about what? What are you, Joe, about 5'6"? We slot receiver?
5'6". Come on now.
So
I hit with shoes on. That's all you need to know.
Kick return.
Kicker.
Okay. Put me as a deep threat guy. I'll be the guy, man. Just throw me out there.
What's going on?
Nice to meet you, man.
Hey.
So you've been with the team for about 15 years, haven't you?
About that, yeah, quite a long.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just get started. So Simon, being the general manager, where did your passion for football come from, and how did you initially get involved with the team?
So I started playing football badly back in when I was about 17. I grew up in Southampton. Started playing down there. Went to university. Played at Plymouth University, powerhouse of British football, or powerhouse of playing football in the rain and hail, at least. Then when I moved to London for work purposes, it was a case of I was playing for the Oxford Saints at the time, but it was a case of finding the London team really, and it was a choice between the Warriors or the Blitz. Myself and one of our infamous or famous, however you want to put it, former slot receivers, Mark McGowan. We both went to university together, and we were both playing at Oxford, and got to the point like we can't travel 2.5 hours to practice games. It's ridiculous. So we went to a training session at the Blitz. Didn't like it. Went for a training session at the Warriors. Were welcomed with open arms by Tony Allen, Jerry Anderson, Marvin Allen, and all of the players. Some of the old guard that used to be the Jumas, Ariels, Moses, well before Dwayne's time of joining us, and I think Crow might still have been playing for the under-12s when I was first there. Not that that bothered him at all. The amount of stick that kid would give the senior players was impressive. Figured he'd always grow up to be a pretty decent player with the attitude he had. But yeah, I mean, was never the greatest player ever. Played a bit of corner, a bit of safety, and then moved into coaching. I basically, as many players do, end up breaking something. Ankles in my case, and knees. And Adam Durdy got me onto the coaching side of things. Hell of a guy to learn football from. And yeah, so that was probably back in about 2011, I think. So I've been with the senior team since we started as a senior team. Before that, the program was very much a junior team and winning championships all over the place. And then basically the guys grew up, wanted to continue competing, and went from there. So yeah, I've been coaching since 2011. Been there ever since, and took over the general manager role fairly recently.
It started in 2007, right?
Senior team did, yeah. The junior teams were around much before that, and that's what the Warriors are really built out of. And you kind of go in fits and spurts a bit as you do, but we developed from the kids, as it were. And now we have everything from cadet flag, which is under the 11s, 12s, right the way through to seniors. We've got women's teams all the way through as well.
Wow.
And we like to we've got still a bit of work to do to get it all right, but we like almost the senior team to be a byproduct of the entire program. If Crow's a great example of this. We should be taking people from the juniors all the way through, and then eventually by the time you get to seniors, enough football to really be a bit of a terror in British football.
So, Crow, do you see yourself kind of sticking around with the team after you finish playing?
Yeah, 100%. I grew up in the area, so it's my local team. I've never had to travel far to get to them. Yeah, they kind of like built my identity to a certain degree. Like growing up and playing for the Warriors, it definitely is an identity. So 100%. Like I'm already kind of doing some coaching. I've done some coaching over the last couple of years, so it's something I'm gonna 100% keep doing once I retire, maybe in the next few years or something.
Did you have like family members that originally got you into the game? Because I mean, American football is quite a weird sport for UK people to play. I'm sure if you asked a group of school kids, not many of them would say they'd want to play it. So how did you kind of originally get involved in it?
Yeah, 100%. So my older brother bought an American football from like JJB Sports. I don't know if you even remember what that shop was, but yeah, JJB Sports. And me and like a bunch of my guys at the school was like throwing it around, like kind of messing around or whatever. And one of our PE teachers actually played football in the States. He went to like college on like a volleyball scholarship or something, but he played football as well. And he knew the local coach, which happened to be Jerry Anderson.
Yep.
He invited him down. He had a look at us or whatever and was like, yeah, you guys want to come down Warriors and that. And then so me and my older brother and maybe like 4 or 5 of us went there. And yes, then obviously the rest is history, I guess. But none of the other guys, I think I'm the only one that actually stayed out of the original guys from my school that went. My little brother played for a little while as well. He played for like the junior team and that. But yeah, all my brothers have played for the Warriors at one point or another.
Oh, cool. So it's a family tradition.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And how about you, Dwayne? When did you get started in the team?
So I was going to Buckinghamshire New University from I think it was about 09 to 2012. So obviously freshers fair, I was walking around. I wanted to do sports anyway, but I was walking around like the freshers fair and everything, and I just saw some boys over there. They were saying, do you know, like they sort of sized me at the time, and they said, "Oh, do you know, kind of play American football with us." I didn't actually know the thing in this country, but I did grow up. Well, I watched a lot of American movies and things like that, so I was inspired from pretty early. And even in like high school, we used to kind of like mess about with like the rugby ball, trying to throw it as an American football and everything. So I guess it kind of started from there. Had a few decent games in my like little university career. I think Van actually messaged me. Van and Kay actually messaged me saying, do I want to come to the Warriors? And obviously it was like, actually at the time it was called the Cobras. So I was like, I knew nothing pretty much. One of our coaches at B&U, he played for Blitz. So naturally I kind of warmed to that side. Similar to Simon, I had a training session with Blitz. I had 2, awful. I just thought, nah, these guys aren't for me. No disrespect to them, but it is what it is. Came down to Warriors again. It was kind of like open arms. So yeah, from then on, I guess it was just a love that I just wanted to kind of progress with.
I did wonder if you were going to drop in who recruited you there, Dwayne.
Yeah, I had to.
I'll tell you what as well. Burn's very proud of that recruit. He's very proud of recruiting you and Raymond,
of course.
Sizable running back.
Yeah. To be fair, Marv actually did message me as well. And I played against Portsmouth Destroyers. I can't remember who I spoke to, but they was like, "Oh, come to Warriors." And I was like, again, I knew nothing about them.
Where you were? Sorry.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah, me and Dwayne played each other. There's a picture of me like tackling Dwayne and him fumbling the ball. So.
Oh, might need that picture.
Yeah, the Warriors might need that picture, mate.
Yeah. How does it feel to?
We played Dwayne before. Before like that's before he was at Warriors. I remember Dwayne being a bit of a monster still. Like both sides of the ball as well. He was a bit of an animal, and we were just like, yeah. Then someone told me, oh yeah, he's coming down to Warriors. I was like, that'd be a good pickup.
How does it feel to play for a team that has, develop talent like Efe Abada, and you've had Vernon Kay play for you. Like, does it feel like you're playing for like a proper team, not just like a squad of people that kind of turn up at the weekends?
Yeah, kind of. It's like, obviously we've always been different from maybe other teams in the UK. There are some exceptions, obviously, but on the whole, like, and let's not take anything away from the other guys that play in the country, because to play football in the UK, you've got to love it, because on the level, like, the league's not that great. So I rate them all. But as far as like the attitude in British football, like, you had to be different to play for Warriors, and to the extent maybe a team like Blitz as well, and maybe some other, like Tamworth potentially as well. But yeah, so it's different. It's a profession. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the guys that I played with, like myself included, have played in Europe professionally, and that's kind of or gone to the States, or like FA, like you said. Like, it's about developing and going as far as you can go, and it's about taking it serious. It's not just rocking up on a Sunday. And that's not to say that we're not like a tight knit team, because again, like, we are tight, probably tighter than other teams, because we've been through a lot together, and you grow up together, and then potentially, like, some of the experiences you've had growing up create that kind of like shared. And even though I mixed guys on the team, like even someone like Simon as well, like he's a good example. Like, he's from Southampton, like he's, do you know what I mean? He's like middle class, like, but people like him still. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if like, oh yeah, you have to be from a certain area to play for to play for Warriors, or have this particular attitude. You don't. You just got to come willing to work in that, and that's something that everyone there enjoys and takes pride in. And Warriors, you can see from their display pictures on Instagram or whatever, like, everyone takes pride in the fact that they've played for the Warriors, and yeah, myself included.
Yeah, we spoke to some London Olympian players a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying the exact same things, that it's a brotherhood for them, and that it's not just, like you say, turning up at the weekends. It's come in and you're part of a team, and you put yourself on the line for each other. And I think it's fascinating playing American football in the UK. So what is the kind of the general process like for a new player? Like, how does he kind of get put into a position for someone who's never played before?
Want me to have that one?
Yeah, anybody.
So this is something that we're working on at the moment, to be honest with you, because success breeds success. I think it was Jerry who said that to me once upon a time, Jerry Anderson. And the more championships that we win, or the more championships that the women's win, or the juniors, the more people want to play, and play specifically for the Warriors. This then brings a challenge, because one, just the sheer volume of people that come in. We can't run a general practice session on a Sunday in January with everybody who wants to try out, because we're talking hundreds of people. Which means you then have to work out, how do you do that, extra sessions? Then what are you testing? Because you'll get everyone who's never played football before, who have seen a Super Bowl or seen the Warriors play, or seen something and gone, yeah, I'll give that a shot, through to players from other teams that want to transfer. Try and work out in a 2-hour session how you run drills that work for that different levels of abilities is difficult, to say the least. The reality is some won't make it at this level, and that's not to say the Warriors level, it's more to say the Premiership level, and need to start elsewhere. And then there are some that will transfer to us, and we do sometimes see people who come in and say, oh, I was the classic one is I was offensive lineman in university, and you get to senior football and you're like, nope, you're tiny, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You need to rethink that. You're a fullback, or you're a running back, or you're a slot receiver, or whatever it is. Some body types lend themselves to whatever. The lineman is a classic one. If you've got people who turn up who want to play wide receiver and can't catch, then you're going to be a defensive back. That's how Crow ended up as a defensive back. He's now going to unmute himself and tell me.
Yes, that's not true in any of the team.
Actually, we do have problems with the moment. The offense are trying to poach him as a receiver, and I'm having none of it. But yeah, it is a challenge. We're finding more and more that we're getting more experienced players come and join the Warriors. Great example, I think, would be fairly recently. We had James Armar join us, who came in from Bristol. He was moving, I think, from Bristol to London. Came and joined us at middle linebacker. Partially because he was fed up of getting run over by Dwayne, Direct quote.
I remember it many times.
He said, "You've taken too much tread off his tyres," and he had to do something about it. But that's a classic example. He can come in and fit in, knows football, intelligent player, and can fit in well to our system, which is great. But you just have to work hard. The key to new players, and the guys will attest to this as well, whether you have come in as an experienced player or you're just a raw talent who's, you can flat out run or you can flat out hit or whatever it is. I have to understand, you're very unlikely to have a starting spot at the Warriors straight away. And not just Warriors, I would imagine Tamworth Blitz and all of that as well. You're going to have to learn your craft, you're going to have to learn your trade, you're going to have to learn the plays, you're going to have to learn everything. And that may mean that you're coming up through special teams. It may mean that you're just playing second, third string for a couple of years. And you've got to get ready for that and then pick it up from there. So it's interesting to see the arc of players as they go. Stu Malloy, who's our slot receiver at the moment, our starting slot receiver, is a great one for that. Was on special teams and second string for a long time. And now I doubt whether we could survive on offense without him. I'll let you guys.
I suppose you guys have got like very, very high standards because you've been absolutely dominating the league for the past, what is it, like 6 or 7 years now? You've won the Brit Bowl straight. So you've got a lot of high standards to keep up, and with all these new players coming in, like you say, you have to really kind of hone in and focus on who you're starting.
Yeah, you do, but you've also got to keep an eye out because you can't say, "Oh, only if you've had 2 years' experience can you come to this team." Because what if FA turns up? Mm-hmm. Then you're cutting that kind of talent out. So it's difficult. It's a good problem to have, but it's not easy. But what you'll see is when you get players come in, take a Josh Amies who came in. Guys, when did Josh start? 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, about.
So he came over from Andover. I don't think many of us knew who he was. Not the tallest guy I've ever seen, not the biggest guy I've ever seen. Very quiet. And he used to play for Andover. We're like, okay. And it turns out he's the best safety this country's seen in a while. Certainly free safety.
Yeah.
Sorry, Crow. Crow's a strong safety anyway. And I remember seeing what's session 3 maybe. He's running around causing havoc back there, gets a couple of picks and all this. I remember, Crow, you might not remember, but you and Speedy, one of our other players who's in Europe at the moment, and a couple of the offensive guys. I don't think it was Dwayne, might be Ian or something like that. Came up and just like, "Who's this guy?" I was like, and it was whose gold helmet because nobody actually knew his name at the time.
I remember his gold helmet.
You remember that gold helmet? We got that
literally really flying all over the field. I was like, "Who the hell is this person?"
And that's how you make an impression at the Warriors. It's more about that, like the amount of people who you set through. Like, "Yep, okay, you're in. Yeah, you're." And not that we're unfriendly to anyone, but when that starts as a new player, it's
I think even if you look at like our starting lineup of the last like 5 or 6 years, like you said, like it's never ever been the same. Like there are a few players that have always stayed there, 100%. Players that have gone to Europe, then come back and so on. But it's different every single year, and that just kind of shows you actually we have 2 new players. Like if you can play, 100%, like we'll start you. There's no like favoritism or anything like that. Like everyone's been benched. It's never like that. So it's not a thing of you have to play for this team for a certain amount of time. And like you said, Josh is a perfect example, but any player on our team is a perfect example.
Yeah, I should have introduced at the start. This is my co-host Jeremy. He's going to kind of delve into more of the technical side of your guys' game.
Yeah, I'm going to pick your guys' brains now. This is going to get interesting.
Technical side, we just give the ball to Dwayne and tell him to run forwards. That's it. That's the entire offensive playbook, isn't it, Dwayne?
Well, we'll start with Dwayne then. If you had to describe yourself as any running back in particular, are you more of a beast mode? Are you a bit more of an Alvin Kamara? What you got going on there?
I'll definitely consider myself to be more of the Marshall Lynch type running back. I think everyone knows I was going to say that anyway. Yeah, I don't really shy away from tackles, in all honesty. I kind of welcome it. I think when I first started getting into the game, I used to follow Steven Jackson, who's played for the St. Louis Rams at the time. And I remember his fullback said that he's a running back with a linebacker mentality. So I heard that and I thought, yeah, that's definitely me. Like I've always welcomed the contact. But I'm not someone that just runs straight and just takes a hit. Sometimes I might have a special move or two. But yeah, that's objections. But yeah, I feel like I'm that type of person, that type of running back. Yeah, I just try to have fun with it, in all honesty. I don't really try to overcomplicate things. I see someone, I'll just try to hit them or try to escape them.
So what you're basically telling me, Dwayne, is you've pulled off a full Beastquake runs. I'm expecting to hear you pulled off a couple.
I feel like I have. I'll let Simon answer that one. I definitely feel like I have at least 3 or 4 games this season.
Yeah, moving on to you, Crow. Is there anyone in particular who you try and model your game off? Obviously, it's a strong safety. You're more, I wouldn't say forgotten about, but when it comes to safeties, there's more, we usually talk about the free safety. The guy who comes down into the box is the guy who usually gets the nickname, really, of the press. So is there anyone who you really try and model your game off?
Not really. No, I mean, there was I didn't actually watch that much the NFL when I was playing when I was younger. And like the guys I looked up to were the guys on the team. As opposed to NFL players. But I've always liked anyone that can play in the box, 100%. That's something I enjoy. It's something I'm like best at. I feel like I'm best when I'm in the box because I'm quite physical as well. But yeah, I've always liked Polamalu. I thought he was serious, man. I really liked his stuff. But yeah, I don't know, not really, to be honest. Like, yeah, I just appreciate players what they can do, and every player can do something a bit different. So it's not really, yeah. Maybe there was one guy on our team called Ariel, who's been back and forth. Over the last couple of years, and he played in Germany for a bit. When I was younger, that was the kind of player I wanted to be like, because he was a hard-nosed safety, man. He was good.
Yeah, no, just something as well. I'm going to ask you. I come from a rugby background, so when I tackle someone, I don't really usually get up and let them know that I've hit them. Something I see a lot in American sports is when someone gets absolutely creamed, and you might have given up something like 30 odd points. They showboat almost like. So have you ever absolutely cream someone where you really hit them hard and then you get a little bit boisterous, get a little bit of swagger going?
100%, and I think that's part of the game. But that's not, you say it doesn't happen in rugby, but I don't know where you played rugby, but I played rugby as well when I was growing up. We played a bunch against all the Croydon schools like John Fisher and Whitgift. They're like big schools, and they spoke a lot of smack as well, like in games. So I don't know. I don't think it's just in football, but definitely I think like talking smack or whatever in a game, like it gives you more confidence, and I don't know, it's just like when you're on the field, it's like it's like a little war zone. Do you know what I mean? It's a little like everyone's talking, and sometimes it escalates, sometimes it doesn't, whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a pretty natural part of the game, and I don't think I've ever played in a game where I haven't done it and someone else hasn't done it. Yeah.
Didn't we ban you from playing rugby, correct?
Yeah.
He turned up once with an injury and we went, that's the end of that.
Just going to go to you, Simon. It's like I take a lot of interest in when teams succeed in the NFL. I take a lot of interest in like why they succeed. So it's no surprise a lot of teams, when they do win, usually got a great ownership group, great management, great coaching staff, great quarterback, almost as a great spine. Is that something you would say the Warriors is like one of the keys behind your success? Is every level of the institution of the club is just tick box, perfect, exactly the way you want it?
No, because I don't think we are that. I don't think we are perfect all the way through. And I think the only point that we decide that we are will be the first time you realise that we're no longer there. I think if you accept that you're perfect, you'll then fail fairly quickly. Every year we've got something to work on. This year wasn't even an exception. We may not have been doing anything on the field, but we've been working very, very hard off the field to try and get things improved. Tony Allen, our head coach, is the one that always says every time we get on the practice field, we try and be 1% better, and we try that all the way through. It's a mantra that we use. What makes us strong is 2 things, I think. No, it's more than 2, but I'm going to pick on 2. One is our coaching staff. Now, that's a bit of a thing to say, considering I'm part of the coaching staff, but I'm going to pick on Tony Allen, Marvin Allen, Jeff Brown, Matt Bruckner, Adam Durdy from the past, and I'm missing people. Got Errol Mohammed in there, Ian Jackett with the receivers. We've had Jeremy Sims in there. Like, these are great players from past. Jerry Anderson, I've missed out there, and are phenomenal coaches. Jim Tomsula, who for a very small time was the head coach of the 49ers, described Tony as the greatest talent evaluator in football he's ever seen. And that goes through everything. He understands football, he understands who to put where, why, how, and what to do. There is great coaching staff there. There is then a great culture, and that comes on mainly from the players. That don't come from the coaches, because they're great players, right? And the culture is hard work. The culture is, if I ain't working hard when people aren't looking, I'm going to get my ass handed to me, and I'm going to get cut, and I'm going to get embarrassed, and we ain't going to win. And that is through and through. Like, we get a lot of questions from people, teams, organizations, anyway, how do we do what the Warriors are doing? How do we do that? Like, I remember at uni, like, we've organized a gym night. It's like, brilliant. Do your players want to go to the gym? Like, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink, but we have a culture that makes us competitive. And that's, I think, that spine you're talking about. Yeah, we've got a great quarterback. That helps, absolutely. Yes, we've got great coaching. That helps, absolutely. But the culture at our level of football, when nobody's getting paid, in fact, quite the opposite, is what makes us the success that we are, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's something I always find interesting is when, obviously you guys, you've been the best for quite a while, and you do get the best players, but it doesn't always translate that the best players equal success. So it is impressive to sit and watch every year. They just seem to churn out good team, great team, great team, great team. It just, that level of consistency is something that I think a lot of people don't appreciate, because I think when people say, oh, you've got all the best players, especially at a more amateur level, they're like, well, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to touch on this and let the guys talk on it. People think, because they see us win every year, they think it's easy for us. They think that we go around and just, like, we could roll out of bed and Dwayne could just carry the ball and win, and Crow could just run around, pick the ball off or hit a few people, and that'd be that. And, the Warriors go home again, and that was all it was. So I'll hand over to the other two and, talk through a bit of the hard work that you go through that nobody sees.
Yeah, I would definitely say, in response to you saying you guys get the best players, like, that I just don't think that really happens in terms of, like, the best players decide to come to us, because it's just like players come to us and they get developed as players. And that's the same for, like, I could talk about any player on our team, any starter on our team that's now really good. They weren't always that way. Do you know what I mean? You can even look at someone like Jerome, who now is, like, arguably one of the better QBs in Europe, like, European born. Like, he's decent, do you know what I mean? But there was a couple of years where he was struggling to do anything, do you know what I mean? And it's the same with any other position as well. Like, I wasn't that good when I was at my youth days. I've missed tackles, I do a lot of, do you know what I mean? And Warriors definitely developed me, and that could be the same for any player on our team. So I don't think it's necessarily accurate to say that we just get the best players. And also, Simon was talking about, like, a culture of, like, competitiveness and hard work, and like, going to the gym and training is something, like, me and the DBs for the Warriors, like, we're rocking up. We're doing field sessions 3 days a week outside of training. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's off our own back, like, after work or whatever. Like, we're banging, like, foot drills and, like, sprints and just agility and so on. And it's the same with people like Dwayne, who's, like, lifting weights or whatever. So yeah, I don't think we're handed anything, or it definitely doesn't feel like that when we're training and when we're playing games at all. It feels like it's a struggle. And even when we're winning by 50 points, it's a struggle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Even when we've been up by quite a few points, obviously we're always going to point out the mental mistakes that we are making. It's never just going to be, oh, we're winning and that's it, and everyone should be happy about that. It's never that. There's always a learning experience. Going back to both Simon and Corey's point of view, for example, I started and I didn't start on the field till my third or fourth season. Like, it's really crazy competitive. Everyone was fighting for a starting position. you had to literally grind the workout, and you have to have a really, really big love for resilience, because otherwise you're not going to last. I mean, the first season, I don't think I stayed the full season because I was like, oh no, it's not for me. But I just wasn't built for it at the time. And it's massive learning points, massive building development and everything else like that. And when you see people around you winning and being collaborative and actually wanting to do better, like that's the coach that you want. Again, it's being better 1% each day. So yeah, that's what I took from it from early doors.
And it will humble people as well. We've seen it. Like Dwayne's touched on a little bit there. He didn't last the whole season, but came back fighting strong. But there are people and decent players, decent names that have come into the Warriors and gone, nah, like I'm a star. It's like, not on this team. Like, no one is really. It's like, it's the team's the star. And it does, people get a bit of a culture shock and they either love it or hate it, I think, that we do things a little bit differently. But I wouldn't change it. I definitely wouldn't.
It's something, sorry, I just want to say, we've got about 7 minutes left. Something I just quickly want to touch on. So you guys as a team have ventured into the European League a couple of times. Do you think this will continue in the future, and how has it kind of been affected by COVID?
We're not playing. It's the answer to the second part.
Yeah. Do you see in the future, like, kind of trying to improve those connections with the European leagues and trying to get back into it again?
The connections are difficult. So it's all run through IFAF and BAFA and things like that. So it's a little bit out of our hands from a management point of view. You win, and then you're told you can play, and then they tell you who you're playing. And there are a few more steps in between, and there is some control you have. You know, they're not going to say to you, great, you're now playing 4 teams in Eastern Europe across a 5-week period. Good luck paying for it. It's not that bad. But there are so many hurdles to playing European football that aren't anything to do with football. Cost, logistics, players. You know, these guys, Dwayne and Crow, both have jobs. I have a job. You know, we can't travel on a Thursday ready for a Saturday morning game. Sometimes we can't even travel Friday. It's difficult. You know, we played in Europe before. We played the Swarco Raiders down in Austria, and we got on gents, how long was the coach drive?
23 hours.
23-hour coach ride, right? Because that was the affordable way of doing it. We want to play European competition, absolutely. Who doesn't? It's fun. It's competitive. It's a new thing. You know, we were supposed to play in May, as you say. COVID killed everything when it comes to football. We were supposed to play the Paris Flash on the 11th of May, and we were in practice from December, November, this time last year. Do you reckon, guys?
Yeah. November, December.
Because Paris Flash are no joke. You don't get ready for them, like, then you get whooped.
Yeah.
But that's the logistical side of it. From, do we want to play there? I'll let the guys answer that.
Yeah, I think obviously, like, even if you look at our roster of like starting players last year, you'll see most of them played in Europe at some point, like professionally, because it was something they wanted to do. They wanted to play at a high level, but like, there are lots of obstacles in the way, not just financially. Obviously mostly financially, but in terms of the league itself, the league seems to put up a lot of barriers for promoting the game, like, commercially in this country. It doesn't. And I've heard all the reasons as to why they say they do it, as far as bringing like professionality into the game. And it does. And you just have to look at like other European models of football, whether it's Finland or Italy or any other country. Like, it is very sustainable to over a long period of time whilst promoting the domestic game. But there's this like assumption that as soon as you do that, the domestic game is going to fall off, and it's just ridiculous. It's done nothing but hurt us for the last 10 years or whatever. And so I think realistically, until that changes, it's going to be a struggle every year to play in Europe financially, because who can afford to pay that? Like, even just the entry into the league in itself is money, and then getting every player to go, not every player can pay the money. Like, demographically, like, where are you from in London? Like, you're not going to have like high income background players, so on. Like, yeah, just BAFA has just put up a lot of roadblocks, and it's very frustrating as like someone who cares about the game. And anyone on the team will tell you that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just answered my second question there about, you know, the majority of teams in Europe play semi-professionally, and it kind of sucks that you guys aren't able to. But do you think, you know, come when COVID finishes, do you think that will kind of change? Do you think maybe the American football leagues in the UK will be recognised a bit more?
But it's not about them being recognised. It's about there's genuine like BAFA like rules, like correct me if I'm wrong, Simon, that stop us being like a professional like commercial outfit outside of being a charity. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we can take money from whatever donors we want, but it's not like in Finland where there's restaurants and car companies and so on sponsoring these teams because they know there's a vested interest, there's a commercial interest because the games are being streamed on TV. Like there's a bunch of signs around the stadium where it's like, oh, buy this car, buy that, whatever. So it's like it's beneficial for everyone. But if it's just a charity, it's like pro bono work. Do you know what I mean? It's like these whatever money we receive as Warriors is just charity at the end of the day. It's not like, oh, we're like, it's a genuine commercial interest, and everyone knows that, like, do you know what I mean? It's capitalism, man. Like money makes the world go round. So unless there is a commercial interest for people to sponsor us, it's not going to happen. And until BAFA removes those roadblocks, it's not going to happen, like COVID or not.
So the blocks at the moment, essentially BAFA say you can't have a paid player. To be honest with you, not interested at the moment. I don't think there are paid players across Europe who aren't as good as the guys who pay to play here. There are some challenges with European football and how it crosses over with BAFA and the commercial side of it. I think we can get past them. I think there are ways and means. It's just difficult.
Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you guys short. You know, as we were really getting into conversation there, you guys are more than welcome to come back in the future if you want to continue speaking about American football. Any kind of final thoughts you guys wanted to add, or social medias that you wanted to promote?
The London Warriors page.
Yeah, I'll send you the details of those so you can tag them, but I'll leave it to the guys to close.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it, and nice having a conversation with you guys as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, I'll speak to you guys again in the future, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Cool, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.